The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Thurston Fire Department, 8 South Bay, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35562. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting on the face of the front bumper, passenger and driver side dual air horns. Just inside of that location, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Directly in the center, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's move up to the outer edges of the cab. First, starting with the turn indicator marker light, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Directly above that, you'll find emergency warning light, and in the center, you'll find a rotating emergency warning light. Moving up to the windshield, you'll find 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. And as we move to the outer edges, you'll find the mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. As we move to the brow of the apparatus cab, you'll find 5 clearance lights. Located directly above that location on the roof, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. And up on the very top section is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Located inside the light bar in the very center section of the light bar is where you'll find your Opticom light. Directly above that, you'll find your controlled floodlight spotlight from within inside the cab at the very top section of the roof. Let's take a look at some close-ups just under the front bumper area. You'll find tow hooks located on the frame rail. Perimeter lighting at each point of entry. Let's move around now, full view of the driver's side of the vehicle. Let's specifically start with the cab area and with the front axle, where you'll find Alcoa wheels and Goodyear tires and a visual sight gauge in the very center axle area. You'll also find perimeter lighting under each access point for personnel. Moving to the A-pillar is where you'll find your shoreline inlet. Directly above that shoreline inlet, you'll find an emergency warning light lower zone and also one at the rear of the cab area. As we move up to the very top, turn indicator marker light. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, you'll find your door latches. They are keyed. And then right next to those, you'll find the grab handles for gaining access in and out of the cab. Directly above the driver's door, you'll find your water tank level indicator. And then moving all the way to the very top section of the roof, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. Let's take a look at some close-ups of those items we just talked about. First, starting with the front wheel, Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel. We'll move now to the front bumper area, where you'll find your shoreline inlet, 20 amp, and also emergency warning light. Directly behind the driver's door, you'll find an access location, adjustable shelving, LED lighting. And as we move to the very rear section of the cab wall, you'll find an additional storage location, adjustable shelving, and also LED lighting. As we move to the very bottom section of the pump panel area, we'll start with drains, and then right next to that, you'll find your folding wheel chock storage location. Moving up from that location, you'll find the marker turn indicator light in front of the axle. And then in between the axle, forward and rear, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location. Also a mid-emergency warning light. As we move up to the very top section, directly above the wheel, you'll find a side-facing floodlight. And then as we move to the rear section of the apparatus, you'll find an additional rear-facing and side-facing emergency warning light. Let's take a look at the wheel chock area. This is once again the storage location. And then we'll now start with the pump panel area. First, starting in the upper right-hand corner of this image, in the gray module, this is your master intake and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are utilized for testing purposes. In the upper right-hand side, we have a gauge indicating the wet tank air pressure. And then just beneath that, in the blue module, you'll find an LED water tank level indicator.
Let's move down on the pump panel, identify a few items within this area, first starting at the top with a warning. Because of those lines coming aloft from the cross lays, there is an entanglement hazard warning. You'll also find at the very top an audible speaker. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. Moving down from that location, you will find some switches. First, panel light, an indicator for OK to pump, and then additional lighting switches. At the very bottom, you'll find a red air horn button, and then just underneath that, you'll find an amber indicator indicating check transmission. Let's move back up to the very top right here, where you'll find your Pierce throttle pressure governor. And then just down from that location, you'll find your reel blowout. And then beneath that, you'll find the reel discharge. They are color-coded and labeled. As we move back to the very top section, you'll find your monitor operation station. This is for your deck gun. And then just underneath that, you'll find the tank fill. As we move further to the right, you'll find a protected cover. This is for your intercom system. This is the plug-in location for the headset. Just beneath that, you'll find a warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And then down at the very bottom, you'll find your engine cooler, which is a twist. Let's move down to the discharges. These are 1.5" discharges located underneath the discharge crosslays. You'll also find all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. In addition, with the very bottom section, you'll find a flow meter for digital readout. As we move to the right, you'll find the large diameter passenger side discharge and master stream device. Those are wheel valves. And then moving once again to the right, your engine cooler, which is a twist, not a pull. As we move down, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that toward the end. And then as we move further down to the right, you'll find your electric prime. And then also you'll find your passenger side inlet. This is a TFT valve. And then moving further to the right, you'll find an Akron. This is for your rear inlet. And then just above that, you'll find your tank to pump. Let's move just to the left on the pump panel and downward, where you'll find this gray module. This is your decontamination rinse system. There are instructions on the placard right next to it, and then also you'll find the inlet and outlet for that decontamination system. As we move further to the right, you'll find a warning placard regarding only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they've received proper training. Just beneath that, you'll find the 2.5" driver's side auxiliary inlet. It is a female inlet. In the very center, your main inlet, which happens to have a task force tips control valve located on it. And then just to the right, you'll find your recirculating line. That is a twist, not a pull. This is your wattress placard. We'll go over that in just a moment also. As we move further down to the right, you'll find your main pump drain. Let's move down and take a look at the left-hand side all the way at the very bottom section. Just to review all of your color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move further to the right, color-coded and labeled discharge drains, and also your manual pump shift. As we move under the running board area, you'll find your recirculating line drain. Let's move toward the rear, where you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet drain, rear inlet air bleed, and then also the officer side large diameter discharge. Let's go back to the wattress placard indicating the type of pump you have and the capacity of 1,500 GPM. This is the minimum operation maintenance schedule for your vehicle. It does have test pressures for 150, 200, and 250 psi. On the left-hand side is the associated GPM at test pressure. On the right, the associated RPMs at test pressure. In the upper left, your 5-digit job number. Let's move inside the cab now. We'll start first with the driver's seat and the door panel. First, affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning placards. At the very top section, you'll find electric window controls, a grab handle, door lock, and latch combination inside the latch area. As we move down, once again, safety and warning information placards here. Let's move now to the base of the pedestal where the seat is located. At the very bottom section in the step well, you'll find the air inlet. You'll also find a digital readout regarding the auto pump status center. And as we move upward from this location, you'll find your auto charge status center for your battery. The lower one was going to be for your air tank. As we move also just about the right ankle of the operator, you'll find this, which is the placard manufactured for your department from Pierce, indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, all of the fluid components, capacities for your vehicle, and specific fluid types. Let's move down to about the left knee of the operator. We'll start first with the master battery switch on the left-hand side. It's going to be the silver switch. As we move to the right, we do have some diagnostic information modules here. First, tech module, engine, transmission, ABS, and diagnostic port. and then at the very bottom, a display port. You'll also find ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switches. As we move to the opposite side of the steering column, this is your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump and then also from pump to road. Just a reminder, you need to pull the yellow collar before activating the lever. And also as a reminder, you'll need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump, before exiting the cab. As we move to the right, you'll find the yellow diamond. This is your system parking brake, pull to apply and push to release. Just beneath that, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror controls. And at the very top section, you'll find your Allison push button transmission digital readout. Let's move to the dash area. We'll start first on the left with the start and ignition switch. Moving just to the right, you'll find a switch labeled EM. This stands for Emergency Master. It will engage and disengage all emergency lights. Also, headlight control and a panel switch will light or brighten or dim lights within preview of the operator. To the opposite side of the dash, you're going to find the OK to engage the high idle switch and indicator. As we move up, we'll find a few gauges here. Let's start first on the left with the transmission oil, def, and water temperatures. As we move to the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front and rear air. As we move to the center, you'll find the tachometer and the speedometer. And diagnostic information will display above and also below the tachometer and speedometer. Let's move just to the right to the dash area for a quick view of what's in this area. First, let's start at the top with your command zone, 7-inch diagonal display, touchscreen, also functional with a gloved hand. As we move down, we do have a set of switches. We'll go over those in just a few moments. Let's go back to that touchscreen. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more information. Just to the right, windshield wipers and push for fluid. As you move down, you'll find your engine brake setting switch for low, medium, and high, on-off switch for the engine brake, and then also you'll find siren brake, off-road traction, mirror heat, and a load manager. Let's move further down now where you'll find a caution indicator. Always disengage the retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces. Also an indication to pump in drive. Air conditioning and heating located at the very front section of the dash area. As we move to the right, you'll find your siren control and PA speaker module. Let's go ahead and go overhead of the driver's seat. Let's first start on the very far left with this yellow placard. The yellow placard indicates the height, length, and gross vehicle weight rating of your vehicle. As we move to the right, you'll find some switches here. First, your emergency master, roof light, front warning, and side warning lights. Additional switches for lower rear warning and upper rear warning. There are 2 future switch locations located here if you choose to activate any of these 2. Moving further to the right over the driver's space is where you'll find additional switch panel. This is your Opticom switch, your roto ray, and also air horn. Additional future switches if you deem necessary to the right and lower section. Moving all the way to the right, you're going to find your master scene, driver's side cab scene, front flood, passenger side cab scene, driver's side scene, rear scene, officer scene, and perimeter lights. You can see now the battery is currently on. The light is illuminating the perimeter lights because the door is open. The green indicator illuminates around the switch. As we move to the right, you'll find your traffic advisor. This is at the rear of the apparatus. And as we move to the very center, you'll find seatbelt information and also a door ajar. Do not move your apparatus if this light is flashing or indicating a compartment door open. Red indicating in the seatbelt information center, someone is in the seat not belted. Green, in the seat and belted. As we move to the rear, you'll find 2 forward-facing SCBA seats mounted on a pedestal. And then as we move to the rear section, once again affixed to the door panel, we're going to find all of our safety and warning placards. We'll also find our grab handle, electric window control, door lock, and latch. As we move inside overhead, you'll find push on and off lenses, which are either red or white, and then also air conditioning unit. As we move to the forward section, you'll find additional storage, LED lighting in also of these compartments. As we move down, roll-up door gains access. There are 2 adjustable shelves. These have LED lights and dry deck material inside. As we move to the rear of the engine, oil and transmission daily checks. As we move to the pedestal, you'll find your air compressor. When plugged into shore power, this will become active. 12-volt access via a barrel style in the very center. And then just to the right, when plugged into shore power, this is your battery charger, maintainer, that will also activate when plugged into shore power. General view of the rear again. Those are the compartments overhead. And now with the compartment doors in the open position. And let's go ahead and move now to the exterior of the apparatus. We'll first start on the pump panel side. Shelves that do pull out, you'll find the release mechanism on the lower right-hand side. This is also a lock, which will lock into position. As we move through, you'll find SCBA bottle storage for 3 SCBAs and an oxygen bottle. Also, the fill location for your diesel fuel and also DEF. There are retaining straps for those SCBA and oxygen bottles. As we move to the rear axle, you'll find Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel. And let's move back up to the rear of the axle where you'll find the fill location, which is the silver cap for your ultra low sulfur diesel. As you move the flap downward, it will gain access to the blue cap, which is your DEF fill location. This happens to be a 4.5 US gallon tank. As we move toward the rear, you'll find a pull-out tray at the very bottom section. As we move to the vertical wall, you'll also find shoreline outlet. And then just above this location, you'll also find 12-volt access direct battery. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll do just a quick inventory of what's at the rear, starting first with your tail lights at the top, brake, turn, reverse, and emergency light. You'll also find an LED water tank level indicator, rear scene lights, and also emergency warning light at the very top section. As we move to the vertical side, you'll find fold down steps and also 2 discharges, which are 2.5 located at the rear. You'll also find recessed is your backup camera system, and then just above that is going to be your traffic advisor. To the right, you'll find a large diameter rear inlet. As we move to the upper left-hand side, you'll find 2 removable speed lays. Moving all the way to the right, you'll find long-handled tool storage and backboard storage. Let's take a look at the center section. And then we'll move back over to the right-hand side, long-handled tool storage, 10-foot folding ladder, and then also 2 backboards are located at the rear. As we move down, some close-ups. First, we'll start with a warning regarding fall hazard. Always face the vehicle while climbing onto the vehicle or off, and also a fall hazard, never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. As we move to the right-hand side, we do have a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right, because of the hoses coming from aloft, there is the possibility of an entanglement, so that's why we have an entanglement warning regarding those hoses. As we move to the right, your rear inlet. Moving further down, your hose bed lights. It's a cupped switch that will activate the lights in the hose bed. As we look underneath, you'll find additional perimeter lighting, also a tow hook located in the very center and receiver hitch on each side with 12-volt access. Let's go ahead and take a look at the full side of the vehicle. This is going to be the passenger side. We'll start back at the rear section of the body. And let's go ahead and take a look inside these compartments now. We'll start at the very rear section and move our way forward. Starting at the top, we have 2 adjustable shelves. At the very bottom section, an adjustable tray that does pull out. Also, we have battery direct positive and negative, LED lights, and dry deck material. On that vertical wall, you'll also find a shoreline outlet. As we move to the very bottom section, this is that pull-out tray release mechanism located on the lower right-hand side. As we move to the center compartment, you'll find a tool board located here. D-handle gains you access to the backside, and there is a lock on the backside of that. You also have SCBA storage locations on this side in front of and rear of the axle. You also have retaining straps for holding those SCBA bottles in case the door does become opened. As we move through the rest of the compartments, you'll find adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and then also dry deck material. In this compartment here, you'll find an additional battery access direct, positive, and negative. Let's go back to the rear of the axle. Directly behind is where you'll find the rear inlet air bleed, and then you'll also find 12-volt access on the passenger and driver side, and then also a receiver intended for a winch. As we move just in front of the rear axle, you'll find your exhaust, and we do have a warning label here indicating extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. As we move forward to this location of the exhaust tailpipe, you'll find a foot pedal for your rear rewind, and then also a rear inlet drain. Let's move now to the pump panel area, just a quick view. We'll start in the upper right-hand corner with the crosslays. There are 2 crosslays located here, and then also for your booster line, a nozzle storage location and grab handle. As we look inside, you'll find a warning regarding fall hazard. Once again, when climbing on the vehicle, always face the vehicle. And then also an entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from the crosslay, there is the possibility of entanglement. As we look into the pan door, you'll find the fill location for your powered equipment rack. As we move downward, you'll find additional warning regarding pressure hazard. Because of these caps that may be under pressure, be cautious when opening them. As we move to the right in the gray module, this is your powered equipment rack. There are instructions for raise and lower. And as we move to the right, you'll also find instructions for the cab lift. There are also instructions for it. As we move down to the lower left, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains, also passenger side inlet, large diameter discharge, and also a 2.5-inch discharge. Let's move down to the very bottom section where you'll find the passenger side auxiliary inlet, ball valve, 2.5-inch female. As we move inside, you'll find your relief valve internal adjustment. Let's move now to the cab area. We have a compartment door in the open to the very rear section of the cab, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving in this area. As we move to the door panel of the cab rear, you'll find all of our safety and warning placards, door lock and latch, window control, and also a grab handle. As we move inside the cab area, you'll find roll-up compartment door, LED lighting, and also adjustable shelving. This also has exterior access. And let's move now to the front officer area. Once again, affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information, door lock and latch, and also a grab handle. Let's move inside the cab here at the forward section of the dash. You'll find just below that area a warning placard and also SRS indicating a supplemental restraint system and airbag. Do not mount anything within this area. As we move to the right, you'll also find on the A-pillar your fill location for your windshield wipers, and then also air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals in the lower section. This is that warning regarding your airbag occupancy crush protection equipment. And then as we move down to the floor, the air horn and mechanical siren foot pedals. As we move to about the officer's left side, you'll find a siren brake and then also power outlets, barrel style, and USB. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the cab. Let's first start on the very far right side, where you'll find your unit radio and then also control module for your spotlight. We do have some switches here. This is your master scene, cab scene lights, front flood, passenger side cab scene lights, driver's side scene, rear scene, officer scene, and perimeter lighting. Once again, you can see the green illuminating on the perimeter lighting. That's because the battery is on and the door is open. Close up here of the unit radio, as we move just to the right or toward the A-pillar, is where you'll find the control module for your spotlight. Let's move to the rear section of the officer seat. We do have some items mounted within this area. First, we'll start with your FireCom control module. And then just beneath that at the floor level, you'll find 12-volt battery direct. And then on the vertical wall of the EMS cabinet, you'll also find your main module for your radio system. Let's go to the powered equipment rack. It's currently in the deployed section, 24-foot and 14-foot extension. You'll also find a little giant located on the upper portion of that mechanism. Let's move up on top of the body and then we'll take a look at the cab area. First, let's start with the dunnage area. This is going to be the top fill location for your water tank, additional storage location. I would like to point the yellow diamonds on the diamond plate are indicating the walking surface for firefighter safety. Once again, top fill location for your water tank. As we move forward to this location into the dunnage area, you'll find your master stream device, also access at the top section, and also your booster line. On the booster line, you'll find the manual rewind location for the tool insertion area, and then also you'll find the free spool tension knob. As we move to the front section of the cab, it is extremely slippery. This is a non-walking surface, and that's why we have these placards indicating that it is a non-walking surface. The next images are going to be with the cab tilted, and we'll identify a few items within the area underneath the cab. First, starting with your power steering fluid. As we move toward the rear section, you'll find your batteries, and then also right next to that, you'll find the reservoir for the cab lift. Then we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up here. First, just a couple images with all of the compartments in the open position. This is the driver's side. We'll move to the rear of the apparatus, compartments open, and then we'll move around to the passenger side with all compartments in the open position. Then I have a short video with your emergency warning lights activated. Congratulations, Thurston Fire Department, 8 South Bay, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.